the founder of FranCanada and East Brands, the podcast where we talk all things franchising in Canada. I'm excited to have two good friends of mine and a kick-ass brand, Leading Edge Homes. I got Scott Gosson and Mark Jennings from the founders of Leading Edge Homes. Welcome, boys.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Well, I tell you, I can honestly say, in all my tenure in franchising, I've never interviewed a guy I went to high school with and a guy that was a customer at my gym. First, that's the first, you know. So let's get into
a small island for you.
Yeah, well, small world, I guess. Well, let's get into it, boys. We'll start, Scott, with you. Maybe tell us a little bit about you and your contribution to the company, and then we'll jump over to Mark.
My name's Scott Gosson. One of the founders of Leading Edge Homes. I am business development and owner, so I take care of all the sort of the back end of the business as far as paperwork, estimating, overseeing home plans, subs, just overseeing most of the general day-to-day operation.
Mark, with that big stunning beard of yours.
Yeah, so I'm Mark. I'm another co-founder of Leading Edge Homes. I'm more of the hands-on guy. I'm a red sealed carpenter by trade. So yeah, I take sort of the day-to-day on-site stuff, quality control, making sure guys are where they're supposed to be, subs are on site. More of that side of the business.
Right on. Thanks, boys. Well, we'll jump into it. What is Leading Edge Homes? Why have you been so darn successful? Give us a rundown of the company history.
I think when we started, we wanted to do something different, more so than just the regular old turnkey build. So Mark was into doing renovations. I was a manager at another location, working for somebody. And when it was time to leave for myself, I know I needed a partner. I needed somebody that, had boots on the ground and could do the construction phase. Well, I knew it. I wasn't going to do it. So, I joined with Mark. We started to get into newer home type builds called panelized builds. At my previous job, that's where we, sort of developed that business. So we brought that in, started to doing panelized homes, tried to do some different pricing schemes for customers to keep things really open and transparent, that it wasn't just the 4 progress draws per build, not knowing what I'm getting, not knowing what I'm doing. So we really try to be innovative in that approach to really give customers, good customer satisfaction at the end of the job.
Nice. And Mark, so being a red seal carpenter and being kind of the boots on the ground operations of the company, what brought you to want to be something different besides your basic contractor?
Well, actually, so to further how Scott and I met, Scott actually hired us on a job. He was building the house for a family member, and he hired us as a sub to do the interior fit up. So that's how we initially met. And then we must have did a good job because he hired us again to frame another spec home he was working on. So, and that's when we just started chatting, and we figured out, like, I was running my own thing and was more of the on-site guy, like getting the tool bag on, and wasn't much for the business side of it. Didn't like doing payroll, or didn't like that's getting invoicing out. And that's when we sort of connected, and that was sort of something that Scott liked to do and he was good at. So yeah, that's sort of how the partnership came about, and we just kept growing it from there. And that's when Leading Edge Homes formed, and I guess the rest is history from there. We've been rolling ever since.
Right. Well, I think it's, it speaks to your success is Mark, a lot of things you said there. You didn't like doing the business development, the payroll. That's common in your sector, and that's common why the scaling is smaller. So you guys have effectively, as partners, have come together and grew a great business, and you always have someone working in the business and someone working on the business. And so what made you curious about franchising? I remember when I got the text message. I was at the hockey rink, with my son.
Mhm.
What made you want to go down that route to say maybe we should explore this business expansion of franchise?
I can,
From the
yeah,
get-go. You go ahead.
I was just going to say, yeah, like I think we were ready to sort of expand what we were working on, maybe into new locations, and we're looking at the Maritimes. Like, how are we going to expand over to the Maritimes? Like, are we just going to hire a project manager over there to sort of run our operation, or how do we expand over there without using our assets, I guess, we have here in the island? And that's when I guess Scott he saw, I think it was one of your ads for franchising, and said, well, hey, this sort of makes sense. Like, we can sort of give them a franchise. They have sort of eggs in the basket. They can take it and run with it.
Well,
Yeah.
go ahead, Scott.
Well, I think it comes into the other part again too, is just sort of trying to do something different, do something a little bit more innovative, right? Not a lot of construction companies franchise. They don't have the necessary steps in place that make it effective for people to join up. So I think we do. I think we've worked at that for 5 or 6 years, really trying to perfect that. So I mean, anybody that jumps on board with us already is 5 years more advanced than we ever were when we started. Right? They're ready to go. So I think that just comes into the whole nature of the beast of trying to do something different for in this case co-workers or franchisees versus customers.
Right. No, it's wonderful, and you really knocked two things out of the park. I can remember getting the text message, literally saying, have you ever heard of a construction company franchise? And stepping it back, let's take construction out. What's really exploding throughout North America is service-based franchises. They're knocking it out of the park. Anything from painting parking lot lines to dryer vents to painting. Blue collar is the new white collar. And when you're looking at it, we had a gentleman who literally applied for a job with East Brands for a franchise director, I think it was. Anyway, and then Craig had got that position. He's since been promoted. He was just a little bit more qualified. But that gentleman came back and ended up buying a franchise of a service-based. And so, the timing is perfect when you look at it, getting into the service industry, because when you think about it, well, you guys know better than me. It's not like trades are what they used to be, and you need to hire people to do what you're doing. And it doesn't matter if it's construction, it doesn't matter if it's anything that service. So, besides that being a good catapult, when you look at your model, you say, what is leading edge homes? First of all, what is really good is you have it documented in your disclosure document. Here is the basic financials rundown of your company. This is from a lawyer. This is saying, here it is. You should be able to look at it and be able to form your projection. But what is your model? What's the model that makes it so unique with leading edge homes?
I think what we do differently is we have been using technology. So like, we run our whole business off an app. So we have all of our clock-ins are done, our estimating, our tender process is all run off a clock. And now we're just implementing our whole safety plan that's going to be run off a clock. So there's going to be, like, you show up, our subs show up the site, they're going to have a QR code up on the side of our job office. They'll be able to scan the QR code to sign in. They'll get all their required safety checklists that they can fill out. Same with, now we're just implementing too, is in our jobs we'll have QR codes too, that the plumber will be able to go scan the QR code and they will bring up their plumbing plans with like all the fixtures that the client has picked out. Jeez. So I think we really dove into the technology side of it, and I think that's where everything is going now. And like, Zoom calls. Like we meet with clients on Zoom. Like we've done a 28 unit apartment building where we designed it with other clients in BC and Calgary. So I think that's just the way that the construction industry is going. That
Right.
technology really is a driving force.
So, a great answer. Thank you so much. I think that's also when it comes to the financial end of things. A lot of people think, "Geez, I don't know if I have $1 million in cash where I'm going to buy all my inventory and pay all my labor, my subcontract." You guys have a unique system that is really an attractive, where you don't have to carry those costs, because it's I don't want to say it's glorified project management, but you're coming through, and someone can come into this that has project management experience and not have to go buy $1 million worth of lumber, correct?
Correct. Yeah. They don't. I mean, you want a line of credit, obviously, but you don't need. I mean, the whole premise from the get go also is that we're using the homeowner's money to build the homeowner's house. They might have to go through the bank, but they need to have some sort of financing in place. We can set up accounts for the homeowner that they pay direct, limit our risk as the builder. So a lot of little different things that we can do that we've put in to limit that risk, limit how much money we have to put out monthly, and then get paid back by the customer. So
wonderful. And when you're talking technology, I can remember the first home I built. I don't know if I told you this before. I got the framing quote on the back of a pack of smokes. Like it was that rough back in the day, right? So the technology has really made things a lot easier, and it's probably saved you a lot of labor and a lot of details, no? So with the technology, has that always been something in your mind that you said, we want to make sure that we utilize the most modern tools?
Yeah, the first thing we ever did was put in time clocks, and it kind of just evolved from that, right? Everybody was using, guys' hours were tracking on a piece of paper, and it would be, you'd get all these pieces of paper in, and it'd be a mess. So the first thing we ever did was sign up for an app. Everybody was logging in. It's evolved since then. Now we use a very large scale project management tools, and we use almost every function in it, from time clocks for the employees, that we can log under jobs to make sure that they're coded correctly to the right jobs, that we're tracking what they're due daily. We use it for selections, as Mark said earlier, as far as the homeowners. Homeowners can be involved in it, make their selections, their scheduling. There's our estimating is all now on that platform. So it's very, we have templates set up for different areas of construction, whether it be a renovation, commercial, small commercial build, or a new home. The templates are set up, makes it easier for us to really understand each project and make sure that the pricing is right from the get-go.
Nice. And might as well dive into the experience portion. A, do you need to be a carpenter? And B, what are the traits that you look for in a franchise partner?
I think the big. Go ahead.
I don't think you don't have to be a carpenter. No, I think it might be an asset. But when you look at Scott and I'm the carpenter, he's the business side. So I think like you could sort of pull from both sides. Yeah, like I said earlier, I didn't sort of like the business side of it. So that's like our partnership sort of was good that way, that I could do what I was good at and Scott did what he was good at. So I think like us looking for franchisees, we can sort of look for both sides. Like get a business guy, or you really have to be entrepreneurial to want to take that risk, I guess, and to get into business. And you could really, I think we have the processes in place that anybody can really grab this and sort of run with this.
Right. And Scott, I mean, you probably kind of adding to that. I mean, with you you're getting the best of both worlds with you guys, and getting into a franchise system. If there was a carpenter that wanted to grow their practice, get it, you have that as a franchise owner, you have that system in place. But also, if someone came from project management experience, you also have the actual carpenter side of the experience that can help you. How do you put a price tag on what you get with you two? I mean, in the systems that you've put in place. But with trades, do you look for someone with people management experience? Scott, would that be something along the lines?
I think everybody's going to, I mean, as far as a franchise owner, I mean, I think there's a lot of different areas that someone could come from. Yeah, you want them to be good with people. Trades are difficult sometimes to deal with, so you have to know how to manage your trades. Homeowners, it can be it's a juggling act between 3 or 4 different groups when you get into it. So you just need to, I think you need to be well organized. If you're well organized, and again, we bring that organizational tool with us, but if you're a well organized individual, that's a big thing right there, just to be able to understand the different people and organize them, daily, monthly, overall.
Right. Great answer. So what trends have you been seeing in the construction industry or the home building industry in Canada, specifically, we'll say Atlantic Canada, but across the country? It's certainly not slowing down. What is there specific trends that you see that are hot that you guys have your eyes on?
Well, I mean, the custom home is never going away. I mean, there's always going to be people that want a custom home, and I mean, we certainly do that. Housing has gotten very expensive over the last probably 3-4 years, ever since COVID. Materials have gone up, labor has gone up, labor shortage has gone up. But across Canada, I mean, certainly the trend right now seems to be everybody's looking for affordability in housing, right? So, we're developing programs. I mean, we want to develop programs for different areas around this, as far as whether it be, innovative products. We're trying to use innovative products in the home builds that speed up, help on labor. From that respect, we want to do designs, trying to get we have with home plans, trying to get effective designs that aren't going to break the bank across the board. So I think that's the big trend that's going to be over the next, definitely the next year, maybe 2 years. But I think it'll be really cost-driven home building. And really, to get that, what you need is to be, again, back to well organized, understand how places or homes are built, that it's an efficiency thing, that you don't have wasted space, that you don't have wasted time on site. And it all comes back to using, correct tools, correct processes to make that really to work across the board for everybody.
Right. And with your processes that you guys have in place and your technology, if you follow them, it's pretty hard to be unorganized. That's the beautiful part, what I love about this business. And when you look at it, homes aren't stopping. They're not going to stop being built. But brings me to my next question, Mark. How the hell have you guys been so successful in such a small area? Like, you guys, we're talking Prince Edward Island, a population of 150,000. Most of where you go is a population of about 75, maybe 80. Mm-hmm. Cornwall, Stratford, and Charlotte. How have you been so successful, man? You guys are rocking.
I think, yeah, like on the island, it's mainly word of mouth. So just your quality work, your good customer service. We have a good presence on our social media platforms like Instagram, Facebook. I think that really drives our business. Like you said, it's a small island. If you do shoddy work, the word's getting out, and it doesn't take long for that word to get out. So yeah, I think that is like, we have great guys, always get great compliments on them. And yeah, I think that's how we've been successful.
Right. And Scott, so of course, marketing tools are important. when you're opening a new business and a new brand in an area, of course. But to kind of go off to what Mark says, when you build a good home, people ask who built your home. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
And so having that quality work, when you look at the core values of your company, good quality work and satisfied customers is, but you guys also, when it comes down to social media presence, you have a lot of content that you provide to the franchise owners so that when they open, they're not going, okay, what do I have to do? Which is, unfortunately, a lot of younger and emerging brands, especially, they'll say, okay, here, just spend 3-5% on marketing without giving a plan. Why was it so important to you when you're building your franchise system to have all those questions answered for your franchise owner?
Well, I mean, social media has been the biggest advertiser. I mean, if we've spent anywhere over the last, 2-3 years, it's been on social media. It's where you can target most of your, most of your advertising. To try to do something not on social media, you don't get the best bang for your buck as far as that goes.
Yeah, that was a great point. So with the traits that you look for in a franchise owner, and going forward, if you were talking to someone who's curious, because it usually starts with curiosity, and then our job is to see if it goes into interest, right? What would you say to someone, or what would you say to someone who is interested in possibly looking at leading edge homes franchise opportunities? And what would you ask them? So two parts to that question. We'll start with you, Scott.
Well, I think it's what their goals are. Where do you want to be in 5 or 10 years, right? Do you want to, develop a system? Do you want to be part of a team that's going to grow something different? So I think it's what their goals are overall. We always want to know what their, plan is on how they feel, their business should grow. And just understand that they're going to be part of a team. They're going to have different ways of maybe doing things, and there's nothing wrong with that. If they have a different approach or a method, or they want to use something, we're going to be able to bring that back to the team and sort of pass on best practices. So I think that's what you really want to know.
Great. And Mark, what would you ask someone? Or what would you tell or ask someone that's curious about franchise ownership?
Well, I'm gonna hop on sort of what Scott was saying, what their goals, but do you want to be a part of a team? We want to make a network of like-minded people. If you have different ideas or different processes, it's a sort of a collaborative team effort to, if I'm on the island and I have a question about a build, and I can phone up a franchisee in New Brunswick or Nova Scotia or Newfoundland and hey, did you ever come across this, or what did you do with this? Or so I think it's really, we're building a network of people to sort of build something bigger.
Great answer. Well, I mean, you look at it, the Big Mac came from a franchisee. The McFlurry came from a franchise, so that's great. So, getting back, when you look at the objective data across North America, 95% of brands will make it past 5 or 10 units. And what happens is you guys didn't call up and say, hey, Steve, franchise our company. Okay, let's put it on the market. You certainly did learn a lot through the process. But you guys have put a lot of time and resources and money into constructing a rock solid franchise. Why was it important to you to, and this is certainly not tooting our horn, but to come through and work with professionals and to do it properly, as opposed to just go, well, let's just go fling it out and see what happens? Why was that important? We'll start with Scott.
Well, I think we wanted the members that come with us, we want them to be successful. So if we line this up properly from the get-go, they have a lot better chance of being successful in their market, than just trying to wing it and say, hey, just go build a place, right? We have all these things in place. We roll it out. We execute. We inspect. You get all that stuff in your you're way more advanced than your competition already.
Love it. Love it. Well, I think again, and from a business perspective, from a franchise opportunity, I love the words build a homeowner's home with the homeowner's money. That, and so that right there, I'm going to trademark that one. That's going on a t-shirt. That's wonderful.
Okay.
Yeah. So Mark, the next 5 years, and I don't want to say the 5-year plan. I'm not trying to be some, but where do you see you guys going? So obviously with your company, you're doing quite well, and going with the, with your franchise company, where do you want to start and where do you want to go to with your franchise?
Well, with the franchise, I guess we're out on market now, so we have lots of interest, and we're sort of just going through applications and trying to narrow down, that good franchisee to start with, because I think like like you said, the first 5 are very important. So like I think the first one is very important to sort of try to kick it off, and so hopefully the next 5 years, hopefully we can get a five franchisees or more. I don't know. We'll see how it goes, but I think that's.
Well, I love the fact that you guys, hey, you're not starving. You're not going to take anyone with a checkbook in a heartbeat. And we've turned down applications that weren't the right fit. But with that, you guys aren't, you're not trying to put your foot on the gas and sell some big monstrosity company that you can't handle. And the fact that you're very humble to say we want to grow with our partners certainly makes it very appealing. And again, for the viewers out there watching this, when you're exploring franchise opportunities, you should look at multiple brands in multiple industries. And in North America, the service-based industries are just paving the way to allow people to get into something, because you don't need a ton of money to get into leading edge homes. You don't have to go buy a brand new truck. You can finance that. We got a great at East Brands. We certainly help quarterback with your financing, because you're going to get into this thing for $75,000, $100,000 in liquid cash. Have yourself a little bit of a line of credit. But what I like about this, guys, is when you're looking at it, as opposed to getting into, I don't want to pick on any industry, is you can list it down and say, okay, here's my costs for building a home, roughly. You guys are going to be very involved. I don't want to throw you under the bus. Probably very involved in their first build. But if you're out there and you're watching, you're thinking, could I see myself doing this? It's not as if you're coming to just hit nails all day. In fact, the financial performer that we provide to look at is based on, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, of subcontracting everything out in your first year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I guess, with this, we'll wrap it up in just a couple of last questions. Do you still have unsophisticated competition? And I don't mean that in a derogatory term. I mean that when you're looking at, from a B2C standpoint, the product that you give to the end user, which is the home builder, you seem to be up a few notches. Do you see that your quote unquote competition remaining at that level, or are more builders looking to get into the style of business that you guys are doing?
There's a broad scale of builders out there. I think people that are younger, this is a good fit for as they come in, because I think they're coming in and they want to be in on technology. Although, in the end, it works well for some older school people too. If the older school guys have been out there for a while and, it's just been a rat race in a circle, not making any money, it's because their processes are failed processes. Anybody can build a house. It doesn't mean that you can make money off a house. Well, I shouldn't say anybody can build a house, but a lot of builders can build a house. Doesn't mean you can make money off it. Right. So you have to know what your costs are. And that has been, in my experience over the years of working in different businesses in construction, going from building supplies, where you see where the accounts receivables are, who's not paying their accounts, it's typically because people don't know what their costs are in the end, and they have bad processes for figuring that out.
Right.
And they're always going to be around, but I think, as new technology comes in, I think, younger or people that are, like-minded, they'll grasp onto that kind of stuff, just like we did, right?
Well, I think that, and no matter what business you're looking at, hustle and grind and work 20 hours a day is dead. That's, you don't wear insomnia with a badge of honor anymore. You work smart.
Yeah.
You have to have processes in place and systems in place. So with one final note, you look at it with a franchise system, you are your own boss. You own your company. You are, absolutely, you're following a system. What you're purchasing and what you're getting involved with is the systems that you put in place. So like you said, Scott, and another one, you're 5 years ahead whenever you get in. So I guess, we're going to put a link to Leading Edge Homes website below here, and also a link to anyone who wants to inquire and have a conversation. Our development team would love to have a chat with you about Leading Edge Homes, franchise opportunities across Canada. And Scott, Mark, thanks so much for your time today.
Great. Thanks for having us, Steve. Jennings with Leading Edge Homes. Join us on the FranCanada Podcast with Steve.
Thank you for joining us on the FranCanada Podcast, where we speak all things franchising in Canada. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share below. You can also visit our website, our Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube, Instagram, and please add me on LinkedIn, Steve Collette.